On 14th January 2026, a pretty sharp exchange in Parliament set off a question many Singaporeans have quietly had for years. Are nominated Member of Parliament still neutral? It happened during the debate on a motion declaring Workers' Party leader Pritam Singh unfit to remain leader of the opposition. PAP MP Dr. Syed Harun stood up and gave a firm speech about integrity, about standards, accountability, and what's expected from opposition leadership. Then, WP Chair Sylvia Lim responded, and instead of defending Pritam directly, she did something interesting. She turned the spotlight back on Dr. Syed himself. She reminded Parliament and everyone watching that Dr. Syed entered Parliament in 2023 as a non-partisan NMP. Then he resigned early, joined the PAP, contested the 2025 general election, won a seat, and rose very quickly within government ranks. That moment went viral, not because it was personal, but because it was symbolic. Sylvia Lim wasn't really questioning Dr. Syed as a person. She was questioning what his political journey represents. Because if NMPs are meant to be independent voices, then we have to ask, what does it mean when one moves so smoothly into party politics? And that question didn't stop there, because if you zoom out from the exchange, something else stands out. All 8 newly appointed NMP who were present that day voted in favor of the motion. This was just days into their terms. 3 of them even spoke in support. It wasn't a debate about transport fares or healthcare policy. This was a highly political motion about opposition leadership and parliamentary authority. So, when every new NMP lined up on one side so quickly, a lot of people felt uneasy, not because it was illegal, but because it felt political. Then, shortly after, an old photo surfaced of one of the new NMPs, Dr. Harish Singaraju, at a PAP event in 2023. To be clear, Dr. Harish explained that he is no longer a party member and that his involvement was in the past. No rules were broken. But by then, the conversation had already shifted. It wasn't about rules anymore, it was about perception, and whether trusting NMP scheme was starting to wear thin. So, let's pause for a moment and go back to basics. What the NMP supposed to do? The NMP scheme was introduced in 1990 to bring professional expertise into Parliament. People from business, academia, healthcare, labor, civil society, people who might never run for elections. They were never meant to be opposition figures. They were never meant to be government cheerleaders either. Their value comes from their idea. You speak freely, without party pressure, without worrying about votes. And that's why neutrality matters, not as an abstract ideal, but as the things that gives their expertise credibility. When NMPs speak on policy within their professional field, that independence strengthens debate. But when NMPs take strong position on highly political motions, neutrality suddenly becomes a very real public concern. And this is where recent history complicates things. Dr. Syed Harun is the most obvious example. The first NMP to resign midterm and successfully enter electoral politics. Raj Joshua Thomas also resigned early and joined the PAP, though he didn't contest. If you go further back, you will find cases like Kelvin Chan and Gerard Lee, where party affiliations existed before or during NMP terms. Each case on its own can be explained, but taken together, they raise a bigger question, because the issue isn't bad intentions, it's incentives. When a non-elected, supposedly non-partisan role starts looking like the stepping stone, especially in one political direction, neutrality becomes harder to believe, even if everyone is acting in good faith. And this is where it's important to separate NMPs from NCMPs. Take Leong Moo Wai, for example. He entered Parliament as a non-constituency MP after contesting elections and winning significant vote share. NCMPs are political by design. They represent parties, they take positions, they argue, that's their job. There's no confusion there, but NMPs are different, or at least they're supposed to be. And here is the uncomfortable part. There are almost no case of NMPs later joining opposition parties. The flow is overwhelmingly towarding the ruling party. That doesn't prove bias, but it does affect the perception. And the perception matters because the NMP scheme depends on public trust. None of this means NMPs are useless. Many have made serious, thoughtful contributions over the years, but politics has changed. Parliament is more contested, so the real question isn't whether NMP broke any rules, it's whether the role still works the way it was originally intended. Do we need clearer boundaries on political motions? Should there be a cooling off period before entering party politics? These aren't accusations. They are questions worth asking. So, I'll end with this. Are NMPs still neutral? Or does neutrality still mean the same thing today?